Yeah, you have to think in terms of when was it introduced to evangelicals, which is a different conversation from when the ideas and the concepts began to emerge. So, I mean, it's actually a Bardian idea that mission was rooted in the identity of God himself. So this was sort of a pretty widely held view. If you look at the Willingen Missionary Conference, the terms Missio Dei weren't used there, but the concept was very clearly evidenced there. So, but what seemed to have happened was, so think in terms of that's the kind of the mainline prevailing view, what we call the conciliar missions movement. So then, I think it was actually Jonathan Lehman used this phrase, which I thought was helpful. That some people kind of took it out of the plant out of the pot of the main line and planted it in evangelicalism. And I think you have to say that Darrell Guder was a significant part of that, kind of a bridge figure between evangelicals and mainline Protestantism. The first person to write a book who was an evangelical using the word missional the way we use it today would be Francis DuBose at Golden Gate at the time. In God Who Sends, didn't really get picked up a lot. And so then you'd probably then want to look at Chuck Van Engen in God's Missionary People. That was in the 90s. God Who Sends was in the 80s and the 90s. And then Guder's book. But I think ultimately, I mean, again, I don't want to be nice to Alan, who's our other conversation partner here, but I think Alan and Mike Frost, their book, The Shape of Things to Come, really, it was also too, because remember, the Missional Church Guder's book was this multi-authored, this
Right.
resource. And so I think that became more and more mainstream. And then it, kind of branched into different ways. There's actually, people have made family trees. And Alan and I are typically on those family trees. Sometimes in places we say, I wouldn't put myself on that side of the family tree or whatever. Maybe we want to be on all the trees. I don't know. So I think that it became to the place, and I certainly think if we use missional as the adjectival use of mission or missio Dei, even Lausanne, Christopher Wright, I mean, this just mainstreamed that idea of mission. So now, conciliar, which would be mainline Protestant, but conciliar is the term we use when it comes to missions from World Council. Conciliar, Catholic, and evangelical all would be very shaped by the idea that mission is rooted in the identity of God himself, that we join Jesus on his mission. As evangelicals, we'd be conversionary Protestants, so that expresses itself a little bit differently. And that's how it was introduced.
Mhm.